Baker. This is my presentation for state organized crime in the War on Terror. State organized crime is an offshoot of critical criminology. That is an ideology that crime is a consequence of social and political conflict. Critical criminologists are mostly concerned with power relations. They observe what is called crime and how the criminal justice system responds to those who commit it, reflect and perpetrate social inequalities. Critical criminologists have addressed four large areas of concern. One, the government's role in creating a system likely to cause criminal behavior. Two, the relationship between those in power and the creation of law. Three, the existence of bias-based systems within the criminal justice system. And four, the relationship between a capitalist, free enterprise economy and crime rates. What is a critical crime? That is a political concept designed to protect the power and position of the upper classes at the expense of the poor. These are also called supranational crimes. Some examples would be war crimes, genocide, human rights violation, and torture. Globalization is a term that's used to describe the growing interdependence of the world's economies, cultures, and populations, brought about by cross-border trade in goods and services, technology, and flows of investment, people, and information. Globalization can be viewed differently by critical theorists. They're going to focus on the dominance of capitalist systems which only benefit the wealthy and powerful. They're going to see that people living in third world countries are essentially defenseless against the spread of capitalistic ideals. And they are going to recognize the influence and leverage power of large international corporations and financial institutions and how they have sway over local politicians. Terrorism and globalization have kind of come hand in hand in modern times. Uh, Globalization undoubtedly has many positive attributes, such as enlarging the world economy, promoting technological innovations, fostering universal political participation, and enhancing international cooperation. But analysts warn as well that the underside of globalization could contribute to the cause of terrorism. Due to faster and cheaper information and communication, the losers of globalization witness the prosperity of the winners. Radicalization ensues and exacerbates already existing cultural and religious divides. So this is going to make people who are left disenfranchised by the globalization process very angry and want them to retaliate against the system which has put them in that position. State organized crimes are going to be those that are committed by state officials in the pursuit of their job as representatives of the state. Um, and it goes beyond just an individual office holder. Usually they represent uh, lobbyists and other groups. So it's going to go to aid the advancement of collective institutional interests. In 1989, during a State of the Union address, Chambliss uh, popularly quoted as saying that state organized crime was a solution to the conflicts and dilemmas posed by the simultaneous existence of contradictory legitimate goals. Basically, that if you take the U.S. for example, that the U.S. creates these situations in which we have to use state organized crime to further essentially a crime to begin with. So there's been some state organized criminal responses to terrorism as of late. For this presentation, I used the 2004 Abu Ghraib prison scandal. In that, the use of torture tactics at Abu Ghraib prison was used to elicit information from people who are men who have been identified as possible jihadists or insurgents in Iraq. After the scandal broke, There were numerous studies done with the soldiers who were at Abu Ghraib at the time. Those studies found that many of the soldiers believed that their aggressive tactics were approved by higher ups in their military command. This isn't something that they just came up with on their own. In some studies, they even said that their higher ups had actually given them some guidance and ideas on how to torture prisoners. The state organized crime of torture creates a vicious cycle of crime. So, following the 2004 scandal, when the pictures were leaked online, there were violent upheavals and responses by Muslims all around the world. Uh, Several weeks later, on May 7, 2004, Nick Berg, who was an American businessman who was in Iraq, was kidnapped and decapitated by an Islamic militant group. Uh, and in the video in which they decapitated him, they said it was in response to the torture at Abu Ghraib. And soon thereafter, American forces in both Iraq and Afghanistan, when they captured young first-time jihadists, many of them stated that they felt that they had been called to fight American forces after seeing the various photos from Abu Ghraib. Summary. Critical criminology states that crime is a direct result of political and social conflict. Governments and corporations play a significant role in globalization. Globalization can cause political and social unrest due to wealth disparity. Terrorism can be regarded as a criminal response to the negative consequences of globalization. State organized crime is then considered to be a legitimate response to terrorism. And finally, the torture and other crimes committed by the state foster further terroristic behavior.